Okay, okay, people. What you're about to see is a years later review. I call it years later because I just now started to want to do this review of Return to Little Planet. It was a sequel to Return to Little Planet. This is Return to Little Planet 2. And I watched it again with my pal Shin, only a little bit of it, and then I rewatched it again, and it's still bad to me. I mean, I did the review, but I was like, man, this thing could have been better. And I'm not really gonna be like, oh, I wasn't really like critical, like, oh, it's called zones, not levels. I really didn't care. It could be called level. They should have called. He should have called it Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3, or Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, Act 4. But but I was just talking about the wasted story potential of. You're gonna hear me talk about the wasted story potential of this movie, and I know Jim's doing other stuff now, and even in I this is a video I did before I did the actual review, so now I'm just gonna put these two videos together like a Megazord. But it's what I originally think about this movie is that things, even though I probably kind of uh, go on and on about it, I really think this movie could have been better. But all we got is what we got is what we got. And that's pretty much it. And Jim, I know you're around, and if you see this, I don't hate you, man. It's just that Return to Little Planet could have been something so much more. You know. But hey, we got what we got, and I'm not really mad about it. I just was kind of sad about the wasted potential that this story could have had. The story could have had something truly awesome, but we got that. So that's pretty much it. See you guys later. And I hope you enjoy. I hope you enjoy the rest of this review. See you guys later. And oh yeah, when I said I wrote a script for it in the review, I meant like I wrote a script for the review. Just thought I'd put that in there. I'm doing this kind of post, so this is going to be at the beginning, and the meat of the review is going to be. The meat of the review is going to end after this. In 1, 2, 3. Okay, folks. I am Bugsy. You guys know I'm making my own little Sonic thing. And it's going to be beautiful. More beautiful than the crap pile known as Return to Little Planet 2. Now, the first one was basically like a live action thing with Sonic being human. It was just a new thing, new take, and it was a time travel story, and it was so good. I mean, it didn't matter that it didn't have any action. But, it only had a little bit of action. But the one thing in part 2 that it teased and teased and teased and teased and teased and teased and freaking teased. It was gonna have Silver, it was gonna have Blaze, it was gonna have Robotnik. I think it was gonna have Shadow at some point, like it did in the first one. And I think it was going to be this adaptation of like Sonic Unleashed with the story done right. Or something even different, because it had Silver in one of the teasers, it had Blaze in one of the teasers. And I was hoping for something truly good that capitalized on the first one, but all Little Planet is, it's just talking. Sonic intimidates a few girls. They don't really fight, but he intimidates them a little bit. He runs a little bit. He dodges fire and crap, and then the rest of the movie, it's just talking and little gags and whatever. And trust me, I like little gags. But, they were building this up as some sort of awesome tribute about it. And all these fans at the bottom of the comments, because it's on YouTube, are talking about other Sonic ones. No, sir, I don't think Sonic the Adventures of Sonic Hedgehog was on crack. I think Sonic Underground is actually pretty good. The fact of Sonic being a prince actually is kind of cool. And him having a brother and sister, again, is kind of cool. It's a dynamic, and the dynamic of it is something I'm using in Sonic Freedom Fighters. And that's the one thing that people don't get. Sonic can have brothers and sisters, it's just they gotta be done right. I guess people don't like it because Sonic is like royalty in that continuity, but I don't really care. I enjoy it. I know people don't have my point of view. I'm not saying, like Sonic Underground, but it does have potential. And probably someday soon, whenever a certain group and I can get our stuff together, it will happen. But until then, and I don't know what happened to the Sonic Underground comics that were supposed to be made. Like, I looked everywhere for those things. I guess they just didn't want to make them. That kind of sucks. But I'm just saying, there was so much wasted potential. There's part where Sonic leaves. Robotnik consumes control. And we never see, any ounce of a people or Robotnik's empire or, the citizens being mistreated or any kind of thing that symbolizes that Robotnik has taken absolute control. We're just supposed to take his word for it. Yeah. And this utter chaos that he was talking about. But it took me a while to realize after watching it with my buddy, Shin. He's also known as Shinyu on DA. Robotnik actually had hookers. I don't know. It took me a while to figure that out. I was like, what the fuck? He has hookers. He paid hookers. I mean, it's Eggman. I understand. He don't get. The only chick he probably gets is that ninja chick they made in Sonic X with the boobs, which I thought was Rouge for some reason. I don't know. But I'm just saying, there's so many things they could have done with this, and it's pretty much, and in that continuity, well, at least in the first one, Sally was in that one. And you're telling me, you gotta look me in the eye and tell me, don't get me wrong, if you like Sonic Amy, that's cool. That's cool, that's fine. But you gotta tell me they didn't show Sally at all in this? For all we know, Sally could have died. We don't know what happened to her. And I was thinking maybe they'd show the other freedom fighters. Freaking Tails becomes a freaking professor, for crying out loud. And it's like, we don't get to see any of that development whatsoever. It's like how the Nostalgia Critic was talking about freaking development in Les Miserables. We don't get, we don't get to see any kind of development between that. They just skip to it. It's like I didn't get to see any development with these characters while Sonic was gone. Sonic comes back, boom. Freaking Robotnik's agent, boom. He makes one pee on themselves, boom. Knuckles shows up, breaks a freaking computer. That's all we get. And then the rest of the movie is just talking and gags. And don't get me wrong, I love gags, but Jesus. Like I said before, so much wasted potential that we could have had for something truly awesome. It would have shown that even though they can do the things that the Sonic fan film could have done, still would have been an enjoyable movie. But all it is just talking. People are looking at this movie and then going, "What the fuck did I just watch?" I mean, if you want to watch a live action Sonic thing, or you're curious about Return to the Little Planet, watch the first one because it had that right amount of Sonic in it. You know, something, even though the characters are now human, you can still tell it's a Sonic thing. It's so hard. I understand. It's so hard because back when it was coming out, I really looked at these teasers and it made me so excited. So excited to see this take on Sonic, this live action version of Sonic being a human. I wanted to see more of this universe of Sonic and see what they could do to improve upon it, to make it even more better than it already was. But we get nothing but a few little action scenes. I wouldn't even call them action scenes. Some gags. Robotnik and Sonic making these threats and saying, I'm gonna stop you and your whole empire. And they don't even make it any longer. It's just, and then at the end is the most painful thing ever. They have Amy and Sonic. Sonic going like, I gotta go. Oh, Tails called me. We gotta go stop this guy. And then nothing happens after that. It just ends with Amy just walking and we're seeing all the scenes we saw in this freaking movie. And I sit there and go like, shit, I wasted my time on this. I don't know. Maybe I'm gonna do an adaptation of this. It's gonna be its own little thing of how I wanted it. Like, all the little elements in that story, but made a little bit better. I'm sorry, and I knew the guy who made that. I talked to him before, and I talked to the guy. I talked to Sass. He was cool, but Sass, if you're even out there anymore, pal, I'm sorry. I never really got to do. I didn't get to do this, and it's always been at the back of my mind. But I never was able to really do it. Your movie, your first one was good. It got me sucked into that universe. But the second one, it's like, it's not even, it showed promise, but then it fell flat. And probably you had to cut a few things out. But it's bad. I'm sorry. I tried to like it. I wanted to like it, guys. I so sat there and looked at it and was like, looked at those teasers and I liked it, but it just didn't bring me into that world again like it did before. It was so bad. Man. The stupid Mario Brothers had more action than Return to Little Planet 2. And that started out as a gag show. As a little comedy show, and then it got more serious. Yeah, I know, it probably doesn't matter because I think Jim Sass is doing a lot more different stuff nowadays. So I did this a little too late, but still, it had so much potential, and it just wasted. I give Return to Little Planet 1 star out of 10. I'm sorry, it could have been way better, but the person who did it really dropped the ball. And it's a shame because he worked on the first one is the one that really captured my imagination of Sonic being a human, of how it could work. But what we got was something completely different. I know this is old news, but I wanted to make this video because just watching a little parts of the second movie brought everything I didn't like about this movie back, and how everything originally I wrote a script for it, and I just was reminded about all the things that were bad about this movie. And I wish Jim made another sequel. I think his first name was Jim. I think they could make another sequel and have it more action packed. But it's been so long now, I don't think anybody wants to. And I know Return of the Little Planet 2 was not good enough to warrant a sequel. So, again, I give it 1 star out of 10. See you guys later.